Hey, what is going on, YouTube? Hey, it's Cameron with Motion Science, and I'm here today to talk to you about StyleCraft and answer questions and all that good stuff. But I want to know from you guys. Let me know you can see me and hear me okay. See me and hear me okay. And who's here today? Let me know who's here. What's going on? We're hanging out, talking about StyleCraft. I want to answer questions. Maybe if I can answer any general motion design questions for you today. That's what I'm here to do. And that's what it's all about today. So it's great to be here today. Tuesday. Beautiful day in South Florida. What's up, Lawrence? It's all good. All right. Awesome. Awesome. Shanky Westside, what's up? Hey. Koyu? Okay and okay. Awesome. Aaron, what's up, Cameron? Is it a general Q&A or only about StyleCraft? So, it's a both. It's both. I'm here to help whoever today. So I'm on here just talking, answering questions. If you got questions about StyleCraft, great. If you have general design, motion design questions, I can help answer those as well. So yeah. Darius, what's up, Darius? Yeah, because this will probably be the last live I do on YouTube for a while. Still gonna be weekly videos and things like that, but I'm gonna take a break from doing YouTube lives for a while and refocus on some things and commit my time to StyleCraft. So I'm going to be going live in StyleCraft more to help out my students in there. So this will be the big sign off for my lives for a while. So any questions I can help you with, I want to help you with. Let me know what you guys are working on. Anything exciting? Anything cool? I've been working on some new particle animations using Trapcode Particular, which has been fun. I started working with Trapcode Particular back in the day, when it first came out, when Red Giant was just starting out. And I've always loved that plugin, right? The power of the plugin. And getting back into spending some more time with it. I haven't played around with it for quite some time now, and thought it'd be fun to design some things in it. So that's what I'm working on right now. What are you guys working on? What's going on with everybody else? You guys are kind of quiet today. Motion designer, do you sell your NFTs? No, I don't. I do not. I've been asked that a few times, but I have not done that yet. Got any advice for me? I'd love to hear it. Always open to things like that. Aaron is still trying. Excuse me. Aaron is still trying to sell my boss on Red Giant. Well, I'm a big fan of Red Giant. I love what they do. Like I said, I've used them since the beginning. Gosh, I don't even remember when they even came out. It's been so long ago. But big fan of Trapcode Particular. Big fan of Magic Bullet. I love their stylized plugins now that they came out with when they released Universe, which is fairly new, last few years. Love Universe, but yeah, I think Red Giant creates amazing plugins. Koyu, let the ProFlows tips come back, please. I love them. You know what? Those are actually for sale now on my website. I bundled 25 of the best ones together, and they're $7 through motionscience.tv. So that's where they're at. 25, they're called the 25 Pro Quick Tips for After Effects and Cinema 4D Lite. Those are the old ProFlows quick tips that there was more than 25. There was a lot of them, but those were the ones that got the most results for people and people love. So you can actually get this on the website for only $7. So it's pretty cheap. Shanky Westside, what do you think is easier to learn and works better with After Effects? What do you mean by that? What do you think is easier to learn and works better with After Effects? Don't quite understand the question. Maybe rephrase it. What do you think is easier to learn and works better with After Effects? Make plugins? Is that what we're talking about? Laurent, still working on my 5-day challenge animation. Feedback from StyleCraft community helped. It's looking good. Awesome. Yeah, that was really cool, Laurent, what you posted in there. I really loved the color palette that you came up with. That was really cool. Ali, I did the Batman style frame. Awesome. The Batman style frame. That's amazing. Haven't seen Batman yet, but the title I've seen for Batman is really awesome. Oh, Shanky West said Blender or Cinema 4D. So I don't use Blender. I use Cinema 4D. I've heard different things from different people. Some people love Blender. Some people love Cinema 4D. Personally, I'm Cinema 4D because it's used in real world production experience or teams. I shouldn't say experience. It's got support for it. Blender doesn't. As of last I heard, it didn't. Cinema 4D is more of a pro app. I mean, you can do amazing things with Blender. I've seen some awesome stuff, but from a pro standpoint, it's going to be Cinema 4D all day long. So I'm sure Blender will get there one of these days. But yeah, the majority of my students use Cinema 4D. Sorry, there are a couple that use Blender. Daniel, how's it going, Cameron? It's going good, Mr. Daniel Cruz. Great to see you here today. Just talking shop, answering questions, all that kind of stuff. Shanky Westside, are you planning on to make a course on it? I have a course on Cinema 4D over at motionscience.tv. It's called the Cinema 4D Quick Start course. It gets you up and running very quickly with Cinema 4D. People who have taken it absolutely love it. No courses on Blender because like I said, I don't use it. So definitely check out the Cinema 4D Quick Start course over at motionscience.tv. Aaron, one thing that has proved incredibly effective in my motion design journey is seeing videos on YouTube that zone in on one effect or technique. Your video on 3D camera movement was so helpful. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great comment, Aaron. Learning one effect or technique's great. The thing with the way I teach things through motion science is that I want you to learn to think creatively for yourself, right? And not have to. The problem I have with most YouTube videos is that they show you a technique that's very specific, and it's like, here's how you make this exact same thing. You're going to enter this number and this number. You're going to click X, Y, Z. You're going to preview this, this, and this, and you're going to have the exact same thing I did. What I try to teach through motion science is how to think creatively. So I show the process, but it's more about, okay, here's the overall creative approach to this project. Here's how I created my example, but I want you to go and create your own example using your own design assets or whatever it is and create your own thing. So, or here's how to use an effect in a generalized sense versus one specific technique. And I would even say with the 3D camera technique video, yeah, it was on, one specific thing, the 3D camera, but I showed a lot of different, because I made that video many years ago. And it's still, because it's so, it's not specific on here's how you create this look with this camera. It's more of an overall approach to the creative of using a 3D camera and what it can do. It's still super valuable and applicable today, 5 years later, right? Because it is kind of a timeless approach to using something. So that's kind of what I do with motion science. Some of my videos I put out there are can be specific, like the one I just released last Friday, the fun with loops in Cinema 4D. If you haven't seen that video, check it out. It's fun, it's simple. It kind of shows you how to create this very specific thing, but that's kind of an anomaly, I would say, for motion science videos. It's more of an overall creative approach to things. And my to finish what you're saying, Aaron, that's where I think people get the most. Dang, there's like something in my shirt here. It's like poking me. Sorry. What the heck is it? Oh, it's a piece of tape. My daughter probably put it here. Interesting. Anyways, sorry. So anyways, like it's okay to learn a specific technique or effect, but learn to think creatively and don't just copy what you see in a tutorial. Kind of take what you've learned and apply it to your own thing and go out there and learn your own creative approach to using that effect or technique. Motion designer. NFT is good money if you are a big artist, I think, or it's a lie, just marketing. Well, motion designer, I have a lot of people I know, friends that have left kind of freelancing to go design NFTs full time. The majority of them don't make very much money, but there's a few that have done really well for themselves. And I'm really proud of them. So you can make a lot of money with it. Absolutely. But you just have to I wouldn't throw everything away to go create NFTs. I would still focus in on whatever it is you're into. And like if you're a freelancer or you got a full-time job, stick with that. Maybe try NFTs on the side in the evenings, whatever. Artem. Hi, can you recommend some books for motion designers and where you find inspiration? So I'm not a big book reader unless it comes to like self-development, which could come back to motion design, absolutely, but it's more about like mindset and things like that. So there's a book out there by Austin Saylor that's pretty good. And every time someone asks me the name of the book, I can never remember, but it's by Austin Saylor. It's the only book I think he's written. Maybe he's written 2 books now. It's a really good book about style frames and things like that. But other than that, inspiration for me comes from sites like Pinterest, sites like Behance, Instagram, Art of the Title is a great site. There's a lot of other ones out there as well. Don't get wrapped up in just sticking with social media only to get inspiration, because you're seeing a small slice of motion design in social media, right? So like, let's say Instagram, depending on who you follow, Instagram has an algorithm and it's just pushing artists that are all the same type of styles and things that it thinks you're going to like, because it wants you to keep scrolling and clicking on things. So you're only going to see a slice of what that genre of motion design is when there's all these other areas of motion design out there, right? Motion design is so broad. It's visual effects, it's 2D character animation, it's vector animation, it's 2.5D, it's 3D, it's particle systems, it's film titles, it's show opens, it's sports graphics, it's theater graphics, it's live venue graphics, it's museum graphics. The list goes on and on and on, right? So be careful with social media thinking that this is the only type of motion graphics that exist out there, or this is what's popular or trendy now, because it's just showing you a slice of what it thinks you want to see. But I like to build boards in Pinterest. If you don't follow motion science on Pinterest, 100% go do it. I create boards all the time for different things that are inspiring to me. Typography, different types of typography, colors, textures, titles. The list goes on and on and on, right? So Pinterest is a huge one for me. Behance, I'm starting to create more boards on Behance. And with Instagram, I like to take screenshots on my phone and then put those screenshots into folder structures in my iPhone so that I can go back to those folders and reference inspiration stuff, or screen recordings as well. You can also get inspiration from any place, like architecture. When I travel, I always get highly inspired. Architecture, magazines, movies. There's a lot of different places to be inspired from. Let's see, StyleCraft. Let's see, Daniel Cruz. StyleCraft and your Cinema 40 course looks sick. I'm stuck between deciding which to take first. I've taken School of Motion Cinema 4D bootcamp course, but finding Ascent a bit overwhelming. Wondering if your course is better. Of course my course is better, right? If you're talking about Cinema 4D, I haven't taken their courses. I think their courses are great. So I have a lot of students who come into StyleCraft that have taken School of Motion courses. Nothing but good things to say about them. I think StyleCraft is a great compliment. Check out School of Motion. When you're ready, come to StyleCraft. It's a step above in terms of creating cinematic motion design and things like that. Hi, Richard. Great to have you here. Aaron, last two for me. No worries, Aaron. Keep asking those questions. What is the purpose behind frame rates of 2398 and 2997 when 24 and 30 seem like more commonly used frame rates? Also, what are the most useful plugins paid and free? Purpose behind frame rates 2398 and 2997 has to do with television. For the most part, I guess that would be an easy way to explain it. It's a thing with how the frames work on TV. I'm not going to get into the technical. I don't even remember the whole technical jargon. I used to back in the day because I don't use 2997 or 2398 anymore. The only time I ever use those frame rates is when a video editor is working for something for television who says I need it at these frame rates, or it's something that's being projected on a TV and that projection system requires those frame rates. Otherwise, I'm pretty much sticking with 24 frames a second or 30. 24 frames per second is, more film motion. 30 is more what you see on TV. I'm not a fan of I'm not a fan of 60. I feel like it's too smooth. So 2398, 2997 is just more for interlacing, is what they call it. So, I mean, unless you're requested specifically to create with those frame rates, then don't worry about it. What are the most useful paid and free plugins? So my absolute favorite set of plugins is Sapphire from Boris FX. Every pro that I know uses Boris FX in some capacity, and I've used them for a long, long time. So Boris FX Sapphire is amazing. Red Giant plugins are pretty good. They're up there. Those would be my two right off the top of my head that I think are definitely worth getting. There's a lot of other ones that are very specific to certain things you're trying to do. Like Plugin Everything has got some pretty cool plugins like Deep Glow and stuff like that. They're a little bit cheaper, I guess. But still, if it was like between Plugin Everything's Deep Glow and Boris Sapphire's Glow Effect, I'd pick Glow Effect from Sapphire all day long. Free plugins, Animation Composer, MrHorse.tv, Animation Composer. It's free to start. Then you can buy packs for it that you can add into it. So it comes with like a bunch of free presets. It's like an animator, right, for text. And a lot of times people just think of it as a text animator, but you can actually use it for like the 3D camera. You can use it for 3D layers, things like that. You can really go beyond what it shows in the examples. And then it has a lot of add-ons, like you can add textures to it and shape animations and things like that. And it's just a really fast click through. Whoa, camera just freaked out there. What's going on? Hold on here. Let's get back in there. There we go. It's just really fast and it's awesome. Other free plugins, Plugin Everything Quick Chromatic Aberration 2 is pretty good for an aberration effect, which is used for finishing a lot of times. It's pretty good. And I don't know, top of my head, that's it. I have a lot more paid plugins, right, that I use. But the thing too I want you to keep in mind is I don't want you to get wrapped up thinking that you have to have plugins to do motion design, right? So a lot of times I tell my students that, start without plugins, right? Just start with the basics that are built into After Effects, and don't worry about third-party plugins, because when you get wrapped up in third-party plugins, that's when you get into thinking that you have to have all these free or paid plugins to make your work look good, and your work's not going to look any better than it already does. You need to understand how to make good motion design to begin with, and then you can apply the effects over the top of it to kind of finish it and polish it and make it that much better. The only time you're going to need to consider third-party plugins when you're not really good at design yet is for a very specific use case. Like if you need to create a physics simulation or something like that, there's a plugin called Newton that helps with physics in After Effects. Or you need to create particle systems, then I would highly recommend Trapcode Particular. But those are specific use cases. The last one on Earth. Hello, what's going on? Hello. Daryl, what's up, Daryl? Cameron, sorry I'm late. Are there any Cinema 4D Lite only intensive courses for folks who can afford the full version? Thank you. Yeah, StyleCraft. It's not intensive, but I make use a lot of Cinema 4D Lite in StyleCraft because it does come with Adobe After Effects if you have a paid subscription, and it's super powerful, right? So I still tend to go to Cinema 4D Lite over the full-blown version because the majority of the 3D projects I'm working on are simple in terms of 3D, and I can get away with Cinema 4D Lite and After Effects, right? So Cinema 4D Lite only would 100% be StyleCraft. I also have some specific Cinema 4D Lite courses. They're mini courses that I don't offer publicly anymore, Daryl. But if you email me hello@motionscience.tv, that and let me know, hey, I hit you up on the YouTube Q&A, I can send you a link to some of these Cinema 4D Lite courses. Some of them are Cinema 4D full version, plus they include the supplementation for the Lite version only. Like I have a course on projection mapping with Cinema 4D and Cinema 4D Lite. I have some courses on, I have a course on wireframe renders out of Cinema 4D that people really liked a lot. So email me hello@motionscience.tv and I can send you a link to some of those Cinema 4D Lite courses, or I would 100% recommend StyleCraft. StyleCraft registration is open right now. For those of you who don't know, that's the reason I'm here live today. Registration is open until April 2nd, and I only open up registration twice a year. So we talk very deeply in StyleCraft about After Effects and Cinema 4D Lite. If you haven't checked out StyleCraft, Daryl, it's motionscience.tv/StyleCraft, which is StyleCraft. What's up, Ray R NYC? A little late, but you're here. Great to have you here. What's up? Last one on Earth. Miss being in one of your lives. Appreciate that. I was saying a little bit ago, this is gonna be my last live to the general public here on YouTube for a while. I'm gonna go back to spending more time with my StyleCraft students. So you probably won't see me live for a while, but it's good to be here today. Thanks so much for everything you do. You're more than an inspiration. I appreciate that one. Daryl, awesome. Hope to hear from you. Who else has got a question for me? Fantasy engineered. Yep. Cinema 4D has particles and much more learning. Learning is the key. Yes, but at some point you have to put your learning into practice as well. Sorry, my dog's freaking out. I see a lot of motion designers get caught up in learn, and never implement. So it's important that you have that kind of balance between learning and implementing. But yeah, there's a lot of learning involved for sure. Christopher, what is your best course regarding creating YouTube videos for infotainment? Well, I don't have a course specifically on YouTube videos. Again, what I teach in StyleCraft can be carried across to any genre of video. So my students in StyleCraft, and YouTube being one of those, okay? So like I had an editor, a YouTube editor, who was in StyleCraft a few sessions ago, who had a lot of success learning just overall how to make his YouTube graphics better, right? That's what it was all about. It's just learning how to create visually eye-pleasing graphics, easier, right? And that are more fulfilling, creatively fulfilling for you and look better for your audience. And he worked for a YouTuber, and his job was just to create, to edit and create the graphics for the infotainment. And it was fun to watch his journey through StyleCraft, just to watch his graphics get better. So I've had people who are YouTubers come through StyleCraft. I've had people who are working on titles come through StyleCraft. A lot of different editors, infographic artists, artists who work for TV stations, artists who work for agencies, for studios, freelancers who are generalists. I've had 3D artists come through who specialize in 3D, who want to learn how to make their 3D look even better, because I teach a lot of finishing techniques in StyleCraft, because I've always been kind of known for making my work really stand out, and easy. What I teach are easy to apply techniques. So I would recommend StyleCraft. iGlocks, I watched your presentation for your AE Academy a lot of time, and you said you learned After Effects without any YouTube tutorials or any help. How did you do it? So when I taught myself After Effects, I talked a lot about this in a free challenge I just did. But essentially, I had a book. So when I started learning After Effects, YouTube wasn't even a thing yet. I started learning in 1999. Or 98, right there. I think it was 99. I had a book with a CD, and it was very basic. And it was like, here's After Effects, and here's the program, and this is what you can do by clicking these buttons. And so I did that, and I spent a lot of time just experimenting with After Effects and experimenting with animation. I started with animation, and I created a lot of spec work for myself. This is not work that I was going out to clients and saying, I'm going to do free work for you. This was stuff that I wanted to create for myself. So I essentially built my first demo reel, making a fake logo for a company that didn't exist and animating it in an interesting way, or working with like a particle simulation and stuff like that. I created a lot of spec work for myself. So I would work my day job, and I would come home at night, and I would push buttons and practice and see what I could create in After Effects, right? What could I make move? So I focused a lot of time on animation, eventually built a demo reel out of spec work that I had made myself, started a little company, built with my buddy, and built another spec reel that had the majority spec work and then a little bit of paid work in there. And then I got hired full-time at a post house where I was paid full-time to do where I was paid as a motion graphics designer full-time. And again, made more spec work, had a little bit more paid client work, and I made a third reel, and then I went freelance into the professional world. My clients at that point were pretty large. And then I started teaching myself design principles so that I could make my compositions and my animations look better, right? So I could understand how the compositions, what's going to make them look better. Because like, a designer could hand me a still frame, a style frame, and say, here's the beginning of the animation. Now put it into motion. So once I put it into motion, things are moving to different parts of the screen. And I still needed to understand where they needed to be on screen to make them look good. And so I started teaching myself design principles, eventually moved into style frame design. And then all of a sudden I was a freelancer doing design and motion. And I think it's super important. Again, this is why I have StyleCraft, the course, because as a motion designer, we need to understand motion and design, right? That's why there's two words there. So that's how I did it, just creating spec work and teaching myself. If I could go start all over again, I would have had a mentor like myself to teach me, because my journey would have been sped up so much faster. I would have learned things so much quicker if I had someone telling me, hey, this is what you need to do to make this look better, or this is what you need to do. This is what you need to focus on right now. You're really good at this, but you need to focus on this instead. So I didn't have a course to teach me. I didn't have a mentor, and I learned on my own. It took me a long time. This is why I've created Motion Science. This is why I specifically created StyleCraft, to give you mentorship and training to make you better as a motion designer faster. Let's see here. Please tell about the most unorthodox advertising you've seen. I have no idea. Every time I play video games, I tend to see motion graphics people have worked on the game, etc. Wondering, how does one land a job in the video game industry as a motion designer? It's all who you know, and it's creating a reel, right, Daniel? All you have to do is create a reel that is the work that you want more of, right? So it's this endless cycle. You are passionate about creating this type of work, so you create it yourself. You build a demo reel out of that type of work. You put that demo reel on the internet for people to see. Eventually, someone hires you and pays you to do that type of work. Your reel gets better because you're replacing elements on your reel with that new work. And you have a new reel that goes out to the world, and you get better and better jobs, better and better pay, and you end up in the industries you want to be in. So, my demo reels were the same way. I built stuff that I was super passionate about and made a reel and got hired. So you can get a job in any industry if you put, your heart and soul into it, and you create pieces that belong in that industry. The good old days. I think it's still the good old days, right? What are we missing out on today? I mean, dude, I would say today's the good old days in terms of being a motion designer. When I started out, I went freelance remote freelance in 2007, and I was in the middle of the country, right? Middle of the United States. And for those of you who aren't in the US, you either had to live in New York City, or you had to live in Los Angeles to get all the big jobs, right? You had to be there. I couldn't do that because I had a family and I had small kids, and I was based in the middle of the country in Kansas City. So I had huge balls to go out there and say, no, I'm a remote freelancer and you can hire me, but I'm going to stay right here and work for you. And that's what I did. And it was super challenging. A lot of people would say, we love your work. If you'll come out here, we will hire you. But if not, we're not going to. So, I missed out on a ton of work. Today, you can be a remote freelancer all day long and get hired all day long. Like, it's expected that you're going to be a remote freelancer. So to me, this is the good old days, right? The opportunities today are 100 times what they were when I started out, even 100 times what they were in the mid 2010s, right? So we are in the good old days. Sedgwick, Edward. Hey, what's up, Edward? StyleCraft is a great course. The elements and principles of design alone enter my work every day. It also forces you out of the ruts and techniques you usually gravitate towards. I appreciate that, Edward. Edward was in one of the first groups of StyleCraft Back in the day. Great to see you. Thanks for being here. How do I get expertise in motion design? Well, you practice, you take courses. If you want to, you spend all your time on YouTube learning. But that's the problem with YouTube again, is that there's so many different videos out there, and you have to piecemeal your learning together, right? So you're jumping from this course, from this YouTube creator to this one, to this one, to this one. You're jumping all around. Hopefully you find a few that you really like, and you can piecemeal your learning together, or you can join a course and you can get guidance and a path to follow to learn motion design. And that's how you become an expert. You also practice what you learn, and you put it into practice every day, every week. Practice just a little bit, and before you know it, you'll get there. Yeah, how can we get expert as a motion graphics designer? So take StyleCraft. That's how you get become an expert in motion graphic design. Take StyleCraft. That is my answer for you. Gangadia. I think I pronounced your name correctly. Who else has got a question for me today? StyleCraft registration is open right now. It's open until 4 more days. Closes on Saturday, April 2nd at midnight. I want to get as many people in the course as possible. In StyleCraft, I teach you through training and mentorship. I teach you principles and elements of design. I make it fun. You get to see some really cool examples of what I teach. I always make it fun, and I always make it easy, right? I try to make it as easy as possible for you to learn these techniques. It's not about being trendy. It's about learning classic fundamentals that will serve you in any area of motion design that you want to go into. And it's not about learning what's super hot today. It's about learning these fundamentals that will serve you years from now. What I love about StyleCraft as well is the community. There's a private community. It's not a Facebook community. It's a private community that is on a new platform. Edward, you did not get to experience that, unfortunately. I'm sorry. But the new community is awesome and super interactive. We post our work. We talk about our work. We critique each other's work. Super loving community. You know, like no one's there hating on anybody. I think I've had one occasion of someone hating on people and they were gone, right? I don't support that. And it's all good. What else can I answer for you guys today? You got me on here for a few more minutes. No one told me what they were working on. I told you I was working on a particle system design. Getting back into particle systems, love it. Working with TrapCut Particular. I tried to play around for a while with, what was that other system that came out? Stardust. I saw a lot of potential in that, but I feel like it's kind of died off, right? I don't see it so much anymore. And at the end of the day, I still think that TrapCut Particular was like where it's at. They got it down. I think maybe they picked up some ideas from Stardust that they've implemented as well, which is great. Well, everybody, you guys are being pretty quiet today. So if I don't have any more questions, here's another one. I'm going to wrap it up if I don't get any more questions. Is Element 3D useful for doing motion design? Yeah, it is. I own Element 3D, and I've only used it one time in a project, though. One time. And that was because I needed to create a very quick text animation, 3D text animation that I didn't want to go to Cinema 4D for it for some reason. I don't remember why actually, but I used it. It did a great job. I feel like the UI is a little bit clunky for me to wrap my head around. But I do know some motion designers who use Element 3D who are amazing with it. I think for me, I just didn't spend enough time with it. So if you want a simplified 3D program to use right inside of After Effects, I would 100% recommend Element 3D. Daryl, what is your opinion on motion graphics in the VR realm? I think it's another area that motion graphics are going to explode into. I think they're completely necessary for VR. That's the thing that we talk about sometimes. Motion graphics is a booming industry, right? It's only growing. Video content is king these days. It's only getting more and more popular. And with video content comes more and more motion graphics that has to tie into that video content. Same goes for like VR, AR. As we move into those kind of worlds, moving graphics are going to be even more important than they are today. So I think it's huge for VR. Lawrence, when is the next Feedback Friday? I'm going to get it scheduled pretty quickly here. Yeah, we'll get it scheduled real soon. How do I go about targeting companies who specifically use title designers? Like, is there a list of producers I can get or something? LOL. Yeah, so we talked about this in our career coaching community, which is it's a community I offer that opens up a couple times a year. You should join the wait list if you're interested, Ray. It's essentially reaching out to companies that you're very like super interested in. So like if you're interested in like Elastic or Prolog or whatever, like a big title design company, find out who their executive producer is and get the email, and then you send them basically a cold email. You keep it really short and you say like, hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm about. Really dig what you guys are doing with your title work at such and such company. I would love to have the opportunity to work with you in some capacity. Here's a link to my reel. That link is hyperlinked, goes straight to your reel. Thanks for your time. You keep it very short, 2 paragraphs, 2 small paragraphs at the most, like 2 to 3 sentences per paragraph. You're telling a little bit about who you are, because a producer wants to know kind of a little bit about you very briefly. And the biggest thing is they want to see your reel. They want to see what your skill set's like. And that's all it is. It just takes an email. You're not sending out mass emails. You're targeting very specific people and sending an email to those people. You need to build a demo reel that includes title work if you want to get paid to do it. And if you don't have any title work to show, then you need to create spec work and build a reel like I was talking about earlier. And that's literally creating like, a 3 to 5 second scene here and here and here. It's not like creating entire title sequences and then editing those together into a demo reel. That's not it at all. It's about creating these mini scenes, right? So let's say you could come up with 5 different ideas for 5 different title sequences, okay? 5 title sequences, 1 scene from each title sequence. So for instance, I could make up a fake horror movie. I could make up a fake love story, a fake sci-fi movie story, a fake thriller or crime, whatever it is. And from that, I would create 1 scene for each title sequence. So it's essentially kind of like these are, they're made up scenes, but they're in that genre of whatever it is. And you're putting together these 5 scenes into a reel. And then if you show 5 seconds in each of these clips, that's 25-second reel plus your intro and outro. You've got a 35-second reel, which is enough to get you hired. Ideally a reel is 60 seconds, but if it's 30 seconds of just high quality work, that can get you hired. You just need to go out there and find the producers though. It's not too hard. Just search them out. There's no list that I know of. Will you one day teach a class for designing 3D for social media, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat? I feel like companies are scared to do more 3D for social. No. This is what StyleCraft is about. It's about an overall approach. I'm not about teaching a specific, like, here's how you make 3D for Instagram. It's not like go search out YouTube or, you know, somebody else for that. That's not what you can learn that, but then you're going to learn one specific skill that can only be applied to that specific thing. If you learn an overall approach, Daniel, to like motion design, and you understand what it takes to make great motion design, then you can apply that to anything. You can apply that to social media like Snapchat or TikTok. You can apply it to film titles. You can apply it to sports graphics. You can apply it to TV network packages, promos, anything, infographics, you know, documentaries, whatever it is. It can be applied to anything. You have to understand the overall approach to motion design, and then you can apply it to anything. I think I said that 3 times now. Motion design, I love your streams. Thank you. Paul, is it a live course or work at your own speed? What level of expertise do you need? Great question, Paul. No, it is not live. So there's 70 plus videos. I always say 70 plus because it's changed a little bit. I think there's 74 videos now, maybe 74 lessons, right? And these are lessons ranging from, I think the shortest lesson may be 10 minutes. Don't quote me on that. The longest lesson's maybe an hour, but the average is, you know, 20, 30 minutes, I think, to 40 minutes, maybe 20 to 40 minutes. I can't remember. I try to keep it as condensed as possible because I know time is precious to all of us. So it's a work at your own speed course, but the lessons are dropped into your library every 3 to 4 days. So you start StyleCraft, you have a handful of lessons to get through. It's kind of like preliminary things that you learn. And then after that, in 3 days, you get a set of lessons on texture. 4 days later, you get a set of lessons on color. 3 days later, you get a set of lessons on line and shape. And it goes in all these lessons, they build upon each other. Okay. So the whole point of this is I've laid these lessons out in a specific order on purpose because I want you to go through each and every lesson in order and not jump around, right? I want you to learn these lessons because StyleCraft lessons build upon each other as we move through the course. And it's important that you don't skip a lesson because there may be one critical thing in that lesson that you pick up on that you're going to need in a future lesson. So that's how it works. So I've had people who come into StyleCraft who within 12 weeks, because it's all released within a 12-week period, within 12 weeks, they've stayed up every week and they finish in 12 weeks. I've had people who have come in and it takes them over a year or 2 years even to do it because they have other busy schedules and they take the lessons when they need to. So you have lifetime access to the course. So at the end of the day, it's up to you how quickly or slowly you want to move through the course. I do live things called Feedback Fridays where we talk about the work. And again, if your work is posted in the community, I'll talk about it. If it's something you can attend live, great. If you can, it's recorded and it's in the community. So that's the only live aspect of it is when I go live in the community. What level of expertise do you need? I've worked with a lot of different levels. I've worked with people who have very little experience. The only prerequisite is that you know After Effects, right? You need to be comfortable enough with After Effects that you can get around the program. That's all you have to have. So as long as you can open up After Effects and you know what the different panels are and how to like apply effects and how to set keyframes and things like that, then you will have success in StyleCraft. So I've worked with people who just have the basics of After Effects down, to people who are mid-level, to I've worked with creative directors of very large companies that have gone through StyleCraft. So it really is all different levels. I've also had people who joined StyleCraft who have also signed up for After Effects Academy 1, 2, and 3 at the same time because they didn't know After Effects. And that's been a great combination as well. How do I follow your YouTube video playlist to enter into motion design field? So, I mean, I'm not a YouTube expert, but I have a lot of playlists here. There's no real way, there's no like course set up here on YouTube. The videos are just kind of like in different playlists throughout, depending on what kind of area you're wanting to learn about. So like there's playlists about After Effects. There's playlists about Cinema 4D. There's playlists about titles. There's playlists about designing. There's playlists about effects. There's a lot of content on the YouTube channel. A lot of content. So, but there's no like set course per se on YouTube. If you want like a streamlined course of path, then I would highly recommend that you sign up for one of my courses. The camera's just drifting around there. I've got my AI camera going here. It's pretty cool. It's got a cameraman built into it, so it kind of follows me around. It's very fun. Okay. Jaden, what's the future of motion design like? Well, I think it's huge. I get asked that a lot. I think it's huge. I know it's going to be huge. Like I said, video is king. Video content is king, and with that comes motion graphics. If you look at like social media, right? There's more and more graphics being put into social media. Back in the day, social media was a pretty picture, a pretty still image. Then it's moved all into video, right? It's all about the video. And now it's moving into, you got to have these graphics over your video. And so just from that standpoint, social media, future of motion design is very, very bright. In terms of like, films are always going to be here. Television is always going to be here. Motion design is huge in that. Sports, it's becoming really, really big in like the whole like museum space, the whole space for like interactive exhibits, or even like walking into a hotel, right? You walk into a hotel and there's this beautiful display of motion graphics happening in front of you in the lobby. Maybe you interact with things or not. You can check in. UI is getting big into motion design, of course. I mean, literally every field. I mean, even like inside your car, right? The way that things pop up and move and things like that. I mean, motion design in the future is only going to be bigger and bigger and bigger. It's funny because when I started in this industry, I tried to explain to people what motion graphics are, and it was really challenging. And today it's still somewhat challenging when they're like, what do you do? I'm like, I make motion graphics. They're like, what is that? But I can relate it to something like, hey, do you watch a TV show? Or you're a big football fan. Well, when you walk into the stadium, you see these graphics moving, or you're watching on TV and you see graphics. Like, you can relate. It's easier to relate motion design to things now because it's becoming more and more prevalent. You're so good. Thanks for providing your information. You are welcome. Do you think a lot of AI stuff will be implemented? Maybe motion designers will be out of jobs. No, not anytime soon. I think the field of art is one of those that AI is got a long ways to go before it can kind of take people out of this field. So I mean, like right now, I pay to use an AI script writing software that's really powerful, right? It's super powerful. It's amazing what this thing can do. But there's still like a need for people to write, right? Like there's AI script writing software, but there's at the same time, it's like I can do so much with it, but for certain use cases, I'm going to go out and hire a writer who specializes in this, whatever that may be. Same for motion design. Maybe AI is going to get good enough where it can start, I don't know, animating a logo or adding your name to a video or something like that. I don't know. But at the end of the day, when you want some specialized motion design for a specific project, you're going to go out to a human being who can create that for you very quickly and do a really stellar job of creating it. So no, I think that's also fear-based, and I don't believe in being fearful that, oh, I better not learn this because it's just going to go away. I think it's here for a long time to stay. Yeah, great point, Brandon. Branding and marketing is something AI can't do. 100%. And Jaden, going back to your question, like your avatar says smile, so like, let's smile about it. I don't see anything detrimental with AI and motion design. I just saw a still image that AI designed for like, it was essentially looked like an art painting, and it was so weird and so bad. It was interesting to see it. Yeah, it was weird. Any more questions today? Any more? What can I help you with? Where am I from? So I'm originally from the middle of the U.S., Kansas City, right in the middle of the United States. As I said, that was a real challenge for me when I started out in motion design because, number one, there was very few companies in the Midwest that did motion graphics. Number two, it was super challenging to get remote work. But now I'm living in South Florida where it's warm and sunny all the time. I love it. So, yeah. Nice zoom on that drink there. Yeah. That's the AI cameraman. Yeah, you see many laborers are out of jobs in these giant Amazon showrooms. All the tech machines took over. They're even doing deliveries via drones. Yeah, because that's like a job that, I hate to say it, but anybody can do that job, right? I can go in there, I can move things around, and I can deliver things. Not everyone can do motion design. We all, those of us who are in this industry have a unique talent that we're exploring and improving upon. So, no, this is not something, and I've read articles too about, like how artists, and I mean, it listed like these different categories of people and who would be like the last to be replaced by machines. And it's like artists were like towards the very end. But who knows? No, I did not move to a retirement community, Brandon. No. There are many of those around here. Actually, where I live, it's a lot of families. So I had never been to where I moved to in South Florida. It's really close to Miami. So lots of families here. I live in my own little bubble. I love it. Prefer this any day over the cold in the Midwest. So. Alrighty, Roo. Well, any final questions I can answer? I hope to see as many of you as possible in StyleCraft. Again, like I said, registration's closing April 2nd at midnight. And I've already got a lot of people have joined. I am going to limit it to a certain amount of people because there's only one of me and many of you. So for me to help as many people as possible, I have to keep the class somewhat small. Will you be getting into designing for VR? I feel it might be a big thing for brands soon. At this point, I don't have any plans to specifically get into VR design, but I'm not opposed to it. Absolutely. Yeah, I think as these, the metaverse stuff kind of takes off more, we'll see. Obviously, brands are moving into that. Web 3.0 gets me really excited. NFTs are exciting to me. But I see NFTs in a different area rather than just being used for art. I see a lot of different applications for NFTs that I think will be huge. Good time. I hope more people post their work in the community. Yeah, Lawrence, so you joined kind of by yourself. So that's kind of like, in the past, we've always had these groups, right, where big groups come in at a time, and there's a lot of activity. You came in between a lot of things. So which is another reason, Laurent, that we haven't had a Feedback Friday for a little bit here, because I don't have enough work to really talk about posting in the last month or talk about critiquing. So we'll get one up here pretty soon. Jaden, how much do you think an average motion designer can earn yearly? Well, there's some statistics out there. I think full-time, the average salary is like $65,000 in the US. That's a full-time employee. A freelancer can make more than that. It really just depends on like what route you want to go, you know. As a full-time freelancer, I was making multiple six figures freelancing by myself. So that's super easy. I know several full-time, a buddy of mine just got a full-time job in LA, and I think, what did he say? He's getting 180. He's more of a senior level, but he went from no experience in motion design to joining StyleCraft to going freelance after StyleCraft to getting a full-time job to moving up again to another full-time job. It's only been 3 years, I think, since he started from zero experience. And he's now a senior creative art director. And I want to say his pay was 180, I think. Maybe it was more than that. And he could still go up above beyond that too. So that's pretty good. But you know, for 65,000, that's more of like your junior level motion designers. Daniel, I wanted to create an Aztec title sequence of a fake show. I don't know how to pronounce that. King fighting the colonizers, but in the style of the Man in the High Castle intro. So in order to decide which to take, StyleCraft or Cinema 4D. Well, I mean, you can learn. Again, I'd go back to StyleCraft. But I mean, you can learn. It's going to take understanding Cinema 4D, like modeling and that kind of stuff, to create like some of the models you see in that title sequence. I vaguely remember that title sequence. I know I've referenced it a couple times, but I can't remember the exact sequence of that title sequence, the exact imagery. But at the end of the day, anyone can create models and animate them in Cinema 4D. It's creating what the look and feel of that title sequence is. It's creating the mood, the atmosphere, the story behind it. That's all more important than just actually modeling things, and that's StyleCraft. So it's super important that you understand, you know, story to be able to create a title sequence. So again, for that show, I don't know if the 3D modelers actually, you know, just created the models and handed them off to like the motion designers or how that process worked, but 100% StyleCraft. There are some quality designers offering cheap prices. They're destroying the market. How can we compete with that? Every quality designer I know is charging a premium. So I'm not sure where you're referencing. You know, if you're referencing sites like Upwork, I tend to tell people to stay away from Upwork as a motion designer. That's not the ideal market for motion designers. So go work for a studio, become a freelancer full-time. Work for a studio, work for a corporation, work for someone who's going to value your unique skill set, and that's where you're going to have the most success. So there are people out there like on Fiverr and Upwork, maybe some other sites that their prices are so low that it does damage to the market, but I don't focus on that, and they're going to get a certain type of client that you do not want, right? They're going to get a client who doesn't value ultimately their skill set, what they're capable of delivering. Whereas I'm going to only focus on people who value high production, you know, well thought out design, all that kind of stuff. Okay, everybody. I'm going to wrap this one up. I appreciate everyone being here today. Looks like I got one more question. How do you stay focused doing a niche from all the distractions of other work that you could be doing specifically when a client asks for it? I'm trying to do only FUI work. Well, I mean, you have to do the work that pays the bills, so I understand, like, for your situation, Moose 4D, I would pay the bills during the day, and on nights and the weekends when I can get away, that's when I'm going to be focused on creating my own spec work around FUI work and building a reel out of that and starting to put that out to people. And then you're going to eventually get those people to pay you to do that type of work. But, we all have to put in our time to, like, pay the bills until there's that turning point. And eventually there will be that turning point where you do get paid to do the FUI work. So you can also turn jobs down, You can always turn jobs down. You don't have to take every job that's offered to you. So, all right, my friends, thank you so much for being here today, and appreciate each and every one of you. I appreciate all the questions I got asked today, all the thumbs up. It was great. Highly encourage you to check out StyleCraft if you have not checked it out. motionscience.tv/StyleCraft, StyleCraft. Registration closes April 2nd. I hope to see many, many of you there. Until next time, my name is Cameron, and this is Motion Science.